Let's talk about the race here in Iowa. It's getting really, really competitive, very neck and neck between you and Cruz. There's an entity called Central Marketing Incorporated. It's polling people in Iowa, asking them about different attack lines against you.
Well, that's Ted Cruz.
Well, let me just
be doing that.
He shouldn't be doing it. We don't know. I don't know for a fact that it's Ted Cruz.
I'll tell you what. If you look at his answer, because somebody asked him, "Do you think it's you?" and he went, believe me, after I saw that, I said, "It's him." He shouldn't be doing that. Very unethical.
Well, let me ask you, because one of the potential attack lines has to do with an answer you gave to Frank Luntz months ago when you said that you've never asked God for forgiveness. Do you regret making that remark?
No, I have great relationship with God. I have great relationship with the evangelicals. In fact, nationwide, I'm up by a lot. I'm leading everybody. But I like to be good. I don't like to have to ask for forgiveness, and I am good. I don't do a lot of things that are bad. I try and do nothing that's bad. I live a very different life than probably a lot of people would think, and I have a very great relationship with God, and I have a very great relationship with the evangelicals, and I think that's why I'm doing so well with Iowa.
The life you have now, when you say that you try to do good, that sounds very different from decades of tabloid media coverage in New York, in which some of your wilder escapades were.
Well, I'm talking about over the last number of years.
Okay.
I've been, I'm leading a very good life. I try to lead a good life, and I have. And frankly, the reason I'm doing so well in Iowa and leading the polls, including the CNN poll, where I'm 33-20 in Iowa. And by the way, one of the things that I didn't like that Ted Cruz did last night, he said, "Oh, he's doing so well in the polls." He's not doing so well in the polls because nationally he's not doing well. New Hampshire is doing very poorly.
You guys go back and forth on leading in Iowa, just in Iowa.
The only place he's doing fairly well is in Iowa. That's the only place. If you look at these other places, he's not doing well, and certainly not doing well nationally.
Let's talk about immigration. You've called for a deportation force that would actively eject 11 million or so, however many there are, undocumented immigrants. I asked Ted Cruz about that last week. He said he would strengthen the border, enforce the law, but he said on this program, on State of the Union, that, quote, "We don't live in a police state." This was a specific rejection of what I said you were proposing. And he said he's not going to send jack boots to people's door. What's your response?
President Eisenhower, who was a very nice man, "I like Ike," that was his slogan. Like mine is "Make America Great Again." His was "I like Ike." And President Eisenhower, probably the real number is 2.3 million. Some people say it's 1.5 million, went through this process.
A lot of people think that's a shameful chapter of American history, though.
Well, some people do, and some people think it was a very effective chapter. And what happened is when they removed some, meaning brought them back, when they brought them back, they removed some, everybody else left. And it was very successful in one sense. So, I mean, that's the way it is. Look, we either have a country or we don't. If we don't have strong borders, we have a problem.
Let's talk about an ad that Jeb Bush is running in which he calls you a, quote, jerk. And specifically, he talks about the remarks you made at that rally where many people interpreted, and I know you reject it, but many people interpreted it to be you making fun of a reporter's disability. Now, I have heard from parents of children with disabilities who were really hurt and offended and don't believe your denial. If you could go back and do it again, would you do it differently? I know that you say that you
Yes, I would, but let me just tell you something. I have no idea what this reporter looked like or that he had difficulty, okay? He said he met me in the 80s. He said he knew me in the 80s. He worked for the Daily News. I don't remember that. And I have a very good memory. I don't remember that. But I had no idea who this reporter was, what he looked like, okay? And I mean, I give you my word on that. What I didn't like is the reporter wrote a story like 15 years ago about, having to do with the World Trade Center
right.
and about the dancing on the streets, which was a good story for me in terms of making my point. He tried to take back that story. I said he was groveling. Groveling, you know what groveling means,
yeah.
okay? And I said a reporter. I didn't know who the reporter was, but I said a reporter was groveling. I'm just imitating a reporter. I was not imitating. I would never. Who would ever do that? If somebody had a disability, who would mock a disability? I would never. I'm a smart person. I went to the Wharton School of Finance, like smart, good student. My uncle, professor at MIT, and all that stuff. Who would ever mock somebody, especially if you're running for office? I would never do that. Let me just explain this to you.
Yeah.
The word grovel is exactly what I did. I won't even do it again because I don't want to do it again. But the word grovel is exactly what I did. Because he wrote a story. All of a sudden, when I was using that story, he took it back. So I said he groveled. He was groveling. I have no idea. I had no idea. And when I watch it, I say, wow, it really does look like that. But what I was doing is showing somebody that was groveling.
So you could
I give you my word on that.
If you could go back, you'd do it differently.
I would have not done it because it's confusing. Some people believe me when I say it. I mean, I swear to you, that's true. I had no idea.
Okay.
Now, I may have met the guy, but I didn't. How many reporters? You've known me for a little while. How many reporters do I deal with? I deal with hundreds of reporters a day. I go out last night. I mean, there were hundreds of reporters.
But as you even acknowledge, it looked very specific. But I want to move on because
I'm just telling you. I was talking about a person groveling.
Okay.
In this case, a reporter groveling and trying to take something back. But that's what I meant by it. I swear to you, that's true.
Okay.
He said I met him in the 1980s. It's ridiculous.
Let's talk about the financing of your campaign. You said that you will self-finance your primary campaign. You are getting some donations. You're not particularly asking for any, but you are getting some.
No, just so you understand. Little donations where people send them in because, honestly, to send them back would be insulting to the people, and they're for a small amount of money, and it doesn't amount to that much.
If you get the nomination, a general election campaign might require $1 billion to run against the Democratic candidate. Would you be willing to enter the public funding program, the public financing program, or would you spend $1 billion or more?
I don't know yet. I haven't thought of it. I'm thinking about this when I'm financing my own campaign. When I get there, it's a little bit of a different story because the party gets involved and other people get involved. And it's a little bit of a different story.
Are you reluctant to spend $1 billion of your own money?
Well, I have a lot more than $1 billion if I want to do that. I don't know. I haven't made that decision
I would
yet.
think Ivanka might
I have
say,
phase two.
Enter the
Ivanka
public
might not like the idea.
Right.
No,
Enter the
I think
public financing.
none of my kids would like the idea.
Yeah.
But I haven't made that determination. I will tell you this. People love the fact that I'm self-funding my campaign.
Oh, sure, I got it.
They love the fact. I had last week in Iowa and in New Hampshire, I had a standing ovation just when I said, by the way, I'm self-funding my campaign. I had a standing ovation. People love the fact that I'm putting my own money in. That means that unlike Bush, who's totally controlled by these people, and unlike Hillary and honestly Marco and everybody, and by the way, Ted Cruz, he's got a lot of people putting big money in. Probably maybe Goldman Sachs, we'll have to ask. I mean, they loaned him $1 million, so they certainly have control over him.
Do you think that Ted Cruz and all the other people you mentioned are more likely to do the bidding of their donors because they got money from them? I mean, is that the direct charge?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, look, psychologically, yes. That's the way it is. Somebody gives them money, not anything wrong, just psychologically, when they go to that person, they're going to do
They owe them.
They owe them. And by the way, they may therefore vote negatively toward the country. That's not going to happen with me.
Would you take the next step and if you become president, try to have some sort of campaign finance reform so big money is out of politics?
Well, I think you need it because I think PACs are a horrible thing. First of all, everybody's dealing with their PAC. You know, it's supposed to be like the secret thing.
Right.
They're all dealing. Bush had an event where he had an event for his whatever and an event for his PAC, right? For his campaign.
Right.
The ballrooms were right next to each other. And the events were simultaneous. Okay? You tell me they're not dealing with each other? So I think PACs are very bad. I think they're very dangerous. And you have to come up. I do think there has to be transparency, but PACs are very bad.
I have never before seen, and I don't think it's ever happened, that there's been a State of the Union address in which a candidate, you, was implicitly criticized, and then a response from the other party in which the same candidate, you, was implicitly criticized. It really was historic. What was it like to watch?
My great honor. It was my great honor because I'm angry. And they both said I was angry. And I get along very well with Nikki. You know, Nikki said we're friends, and we are friends. I supported her. But I am angry. And when she said there's an anger that we shouldn't have, I said, well, I disagree with one thing. There's an anger that we should have. Our country is going to hell. Whether it's ISIS and we can't beat them, our military is really in bad shape. It's not prepared. It's not, you know, it's got a lot of problems and I guess monetary problems and other problems. But when General Orellana left, he said it's the least prepared that he's ever seen it. And he went a lot further than that because he went back a long way before his term. I would say this, people have to be very angry. And the reason I have these massive rallies where we had the other night 15,000 people and 7,000 people couldn't get in to the arena. You saw that. I mean, it was everybody was up, but I have many of them. People can't. We're only judged by the size of the arena. These people are angry. And these are good people. These are great people. These aren't angry people, but they're angry at the way our country is run. You see the 10 wonderful sailors where they're on their knees with a gun to their head and their hands up in the air. And you see that with Iran, and they're only giving them back because they want their $150 billion that's due in 2 days. I think it's disgraceful what's happening in the country, whether it's health care, whether it's the way we treat our vets, which is terribly, whether it's the borders, which are like a leaking sieve, and people are angry.
So
and
you
angry.
take the insults, or the however you want to interpret it, from President Obama and from Governor Haley, you take it as a badge of honor.
I take it as the truth. They said I was angry. They said that the people that are with me are angry, and you will see. I mean, you're going to see the people voting. They're going to be voting very soon. You're going to see what's happening. People are angry, and you know, they're really angry at incompetence. We have people that are grossly incompetent running our country. Every country is eating our lunch. China on trade, Japan on trade, Mexico on trade and at the border. Everybody's beating us. We don't win anymore, and people are tired of it.
You defended New Yorkers after Senator Cruz said that you embodied New York values. You were insulted. Governor Cuomo said he was insulted. Some New York pundits, including from Fox and Fox Business Channel, said they were insulted. There are some observers out there who think that when Ted Cruz talks about New York values, he's invoking something else. He's talking about, in their view, ethnics, Jews. What do you think he means?
I'm not sure that he knows what he means, to be honest with you. I thought it was very, he should have never said it. I thought it was very insulting to a lot of people, including Maria, who was asking the question. I thought it was very, very insulting. And I immediately thought of the World Trade Center and the bravery of New Yorkers and the genius of New Yorkers to be able to take that whole section and rebuild after the tragedy. The worst thing that ever happened to our nation in terms of an attack, worse than Pearl Harbor, because Pearl Harbor, they were attacking the military. Here, they're attacking civilians, having breakfast and being in offices. And frankly, you had two 110, story buildings fall down, thousands of lives, death, and the smell of death. I mean, the smell of death. And to see what happened, that resurrection, that whole thing take place, New York has gotten tremendous credit for it. And for him to be criticizing New York, you're thinking about the firemen running up the stairs, knowing they may never be able to come down. I mean, those buildings were in bad shape. The first one comes down, and the second one, they're running up the stairs, and the policemen and everything else. I thought it was disgraceful that he brought that up.
What do you think he was going after something, a dog whistle of sorts, talking about ethnic people?
Probably you'd have to ask him. I don't know what he was thinking about. I think he came across badly. I mean, some people gave him pretty good reviews on the debate. I think he came across very strident and not a nice person, and people don't like that.
The issue about his constitutional eligibility for the office, he brought up an extreme example, an extreme interpretation of natural-born citizen, one that wouldn't even allow Marco Rubio to be president. I know that you have been talking about this challenge as something that legal experts and Democrats might invoke. What do you think, though? Do you think that Ted Cruz is constitutionally eligible? Do you think Marco Rubio is?
So it's a very, very simple subject in one way. When I say simple, it's simple in that there's a cloud. You can't have a cloud. You can't pick a candidate that may have a 5%, 10%, 25% chance. By the way, since that happened, there have been lawsuits filed. You know that. It's been filed. And I said lawsuits are going to be filed. The Democrats are going to file lawsuits. They filed lawsuits. Now, he's got a problem. He was born in Canada. He was a Canadian citizen until 15 months ago. I mean, if you can believe that.
He had dual citizenship, yeah.
Yeah, but he was a Canadian citizen. And 15 months ago.
He says he didn't know.
He didn't know. Well, he didn't know about his financial papers either. How are you going to be president if you don't know about $1 million loan from Goldman Sachs? And you said it's something you don't know about. Now he doesn't know that he was a Canadian citizen. I mean, that's in a way maybe worse than all of the other things we're talking about.
Do you think that cloud?
But here's the thing. We have a man that didn't know about his financial statement. We had a man who signed an agreement saying that you know everything. You're signing an oath, and he didn't put it down.
Papers, yeah,
Very serious thing. I have 100 pages, almost 100 pages, and billions of dollars that I'm talking about, and I'm signing, and he's got a very small amount of money relatively, and he makes a mistake. I don't know, that's a pretty big mistake to make. Number two, and very importantly, You can't run with a cloud. Now, Lawrence Tribe from Harvard and many other lawyers say, got a problem. Some are even stronger on the issue than Lawrence Tribe. They say you have to be born on the land. You have to be born on the land in the United States. John McCain was different because he was born on a military base. Both of his parents were, as you know,
Do you think the same cloud hangs over Marco Rubio?
No, I don't think so. No, it's a different. It's a very different thing.
Because he was born in the United States.
He was born here. It's different. He was born on the land. Ted was not born on the land. And there's a very strict reading that you have to be born on the land. Lawrence Tribe actually said that based on Ted's views, he would have to be born on the land. In other words,
as
if
an
Ted were
originalist,
appointing judges to the Supreme Court, that as an originalist, that's exactly right. So it's a real problem for him.
But what do you think? What's your opinion? Do you agree with Larry Tribe?
I'll be honest. It doesn't matter what I think. There's a doubt. You can't have a doubt.
But you're running for the highest office of the land. You're running for president.
I'm just saying this. Look, I know, but the point is it doesn't really matter. There is a doubt. I'll tell you what I think. I think there's a big doubt. It could go either way. It could go his way. It could go this way. But how do you put, as Republicans, how do you nominate somebody? Let's say he does great, and I don't think he's going to do that great, and I don't think he's going to win. I think I'll win. But supposing he did, and we have somebody out there that's being challenged. Already 2 lawsuits have been filed. So we have somebody that's being challenged? I don't think so. It doesn't work.
Mr. Trump, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.